"And how did you find the wall?" "Weeping," Will said, frowning. He saw it clear enough, now that the lordling had pointed it out. They couldn't have frozen. Not if the wall was weeping. It wasn't cold enough. Royce nodded. "Bright lad. We've had a few light frosts this past week, and a quick flurry of snow now and then, but surely no cold fierce enough to kill 8 grown men. Men clad in fur and leather. Let me remind you, with shelter near at hand, and the means of making fire." The knight's smile was cocksure. "Will, leave us there. I would see these dead men for myself." And then there was nothing to be done for it. The order had been given, and honour bound them to obey. Will went in front, his shaggy little garron picking the way carefully through the undergrowth. A light snow had fallen the night before, and there were stones and roots and hidden sinks lying just under its crust, waiting for the careless and the unwary. Sir Waymar Royce came next, his great black destroyer snorting impatiently. The war horse was the wrong mount for ranging, but try and tell that to the lordling. Gered brought up the rear. The old man-at-arms muttered to himself as he rode. Twilight deepened. The cloudless sky turned to deep purple, the colour of an old bruise, then faded to black. The stars began to come out. A half-moon rose. Will was grateful for the light. "We can make a better pace than this, surely," Roy said, when the moon was full risen. "Not with the horse," Will said. Fear had made him insolent. "Perhaps my lord would like to take the lead?" Sir Waymar Royce did not deign to reply. Somewhere off in the wood a wolf howled. Will pulled his garron over beneath an ancient garnered iron wood and dismounted. "Why are we stopping?" Sir Waymar asked. "Best go the rest of the way foot, my lord. It's just over that ridge." Royce paused a moment, staring off into the distance, his face reflective. A cold wind whispered through the trees. His great sapple cloak stirred behind like something half alive. "There's something wrong here," Gered muttered. The young knight gave him a disdainful smile. "Is there? Can't you feel it?" Gered asked. "Listen to the darkness." Will could feel it. 4 years in the night's watch, and he had never been so afraid. What was it? Wind, trees rustling, a wolf. Which sound is it that unmans you so, Gered? When Gered did not answer, Royce slid gracefully from his saddle. He tied the destroyer securely to a low-hanging limb, well away from the other horses, and drew his long sword from its sheath. Jewels glittered in its hilt, and the moonlight ran down the shining steel. It was a splendid weapon, castle-forged, and new made the look of it. Will doubted it had ever been swung in anger. "The trees press close here," Will warned. "That sword will tangle you up, my lord. Better a knife." "If I need instruction, I will ask for it," the young lord said. "Gered, stay here, guard the horses." Gered dismounted. "We need a fire. I'll see to it." "How big a fool are you, old man? If there are enemies in this wood, a fire is the last thing we want." "There's some enemies a fire will keep away," Gered said. "Bears and direwolves and other things." Sir Waymar's mouth became a hard line. No fire. Gered's hood shadowed his face, but Will could see the hard glitter in his eyes as he stared at the knight. For a moment he was afraid the older man would go for his sword. It was a short, ugly thing, its grip discoloured by sweat, its edge nicked from hard use. But Will would not have given an iron bob for the lordling's life if Gered pulled it out from its scabbard. Finally Gered looked down. "No fire," he muttered, low under his breath. Royce took it for acquiescence and turned away. "Lead on," he said to Will. Will threaded their way through a thicket, then started up the slope to the low ridge where he found his vantage point under a sentinel tree. Under the thin crust of snow, the ground was damp and muddy, slick-footed with rocks and hidden roots to trip you up. Will made no sound as he climbed. Behind him he heard the soft metallic sliver of the lordling's rim mail, the rustle of leaves, and muttered curses as reaching branches grabbed at his longsword and tugged on his splendid sable cloak. This great sentinel was right there at the top of the ridge, where Will had known it would be, its lowest branches a bare foot